It has been a long time since I've done a video in such a place. I wasn't even going to do one. I'm at a wedding today. I'm recording this on the Friday night, but we're doing wedding rehearsals and all the rest of it. By the time that you watch this on the Saturday, I'll be well in. Actually, I'll probably do it first thing in the morning. Anyway, whatever. I'm away. I'm away this weekend, so I wouldn't normally do this video. However, a story's come up, and the story is about Sonny Perkins. Sonny Perkins has left West Ham. Now, I'm completely confused by this. I've done, I think, 2 or 3 videos on Perkins. The first one, I asked for clarification. I approached the club. I said, can you give me some clarification on his contractual situation? Nothing came back. But in the end, not me, but other media outlets, the club started briefing people that there was nothing to worry about, that Sonny Perkins had additional year left on his contract. He wasn't out of contract sort of now. There was another year on top. So I ran with that, did my last video using that information. Clearly that information wasn't correct, because he's gone. Not only is he gone, the club have issued what I would say a strongly worded statement, quite critical of the player. I would suggest there's a certain element of surprise in the statement as well. Certainly, they give off the vibe that they're disgusted with it, really. I'm finding it quite hard to try and fathom exactly what's happened here, where to apportion the blame. And I think the blame lies sort of everywhere, really, on this. I think the first thing I've got to say is I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that the player's chosen to leave West Ham. I interviewed Tony Carr last week on our Patreon channel. I cut a snippet out of that interview. It was a 50-minute interview. Cut a snippet out, which I decided that I wanted to share with you guys on this channel. And the bit I snipped out was when I asked who the most promising young players were at West Ham. He picked out 2 players. He picked out Elise and he picked out Perkins. Now, whilst he's no longer the director of the academy at West Ham, he says he regularly speaks to Kevin Keane, and Kevin Keane had picked out Sonny Perkins as a special talent in our academy, right? So with that in mind, he's just walked away. Now, look, West Ham will be due a fee via a tribunal. Basically, a tribunal will take a look at it, whichever club he goes to. But we understand it's either going to be Leeds, Aston Villa or Tottenham. Whichever club he goes to will have to pay a compensation fee. Whether the compensation fee turns out to be, let's say, remunerates us in a fair way, really depends on what sort of career Perkins goes on to have. Anyway, I don't know what that will be, but if you remember when Ngakia left to go to Watford, there was a tribunal who ruled on that as well. So anyway, so he's going to go. Now, the club have said that, well, they've indicated that he was tapped up, and they've indicated they'll be making a complaint about it, and I'm pretty sure that would have happened. I've got no reason to disbelieve that. But when you're going to look at the tapping up, if he's been tapped up, then a club has come in and said, basically, they've done one of 2 things. Rather said, we value you as a player, we'll develop you as a player, or we're going to give you more money. Now, rewind a little bit back, and the club were briefing, when the club, I'm talking about West Ham here, were briefing all and sundry that Sonny Perkins' representatives wanted too much. They wanted too much money. So, if that's the case, and one of those 2 things is true, either he's being offered more football or more money by another club. I don't think either is particularly good on this. If it turns out that actually Aston Villa, Tottenham, or Leeds are going to pay Sonny Perkins more money than we were, I don't think that's particularly good. If that's the case, and he is as outstanding as Tony Carr suggested he might be, as Kevin Keane suggests he is, and let's be fair, he represents England at whatever, under 18, under 19 levels, then why can't we match the wages of, it's all very well the club being disgusted, but why can't we match the wages? I don't understand this. Why can Tottenham, Leeds and Aston Villa pay more to a promising young player than West Ham can pay? Okay, so firstly, that's the thing. Now, there might be a little nuance in here. There might be a little small bit of detail that we don't know, which is maybe, just maybe, David Moyes, who it's clear has got his fingerprints over a lot of what's happening at West Ham at the moment. Maybe he turned around and he said, I don't want you to pay him X, Y and Z. Then that's a different subject altogether. If that means David Moyes doesn't rate him that highly, well, again, we're never going to know whether that's right or wrong until we see the career that Perkins has had. However, that's the football side of things. So if what we're saying is that Leeds or Aston Villa are turning around to the player and they're saying, well, we'll offer you more football, then that's more of a damning indictment on David Moyes. And then the fact that what we weren't able to do was keep him sweet. What we weren't able to do was not promise him the football, but make him feel wanted enough or giving them enough incentive that the player felt that he was going to get some first-team football at West Ham. And I always make this point about Elise, and I know you'll know, if you're a regular watcher of the channel, you know what I'm about to say now. If Elise couldn't get a game at centre-back when everyone was injured, right? Do you know what I mean? When Ogbonna was injured, when Diop was injured, when Zuma was injured, when we had literally one centre-back and Dawson, and even he had a dodgy ankle and a broken nose, Elise knew at that point, I'm never going to play for this club, right? He wasn't given the encouragement that was necessary. There were times last season when we were I tell you, the Brighton game is a real case in point. The Brighton game, we were really struggling. We were devoid of ideas. We had the upper hand in the first half. Second half came. Potter turned it around, and he had Moyes tactically. What we really needed, we looked dead on our feet. We needed some energy and maybe a surprise goal from somewhere. I don't even think Perkins was on the bench. I can't remember, in all honesty. But there has been times this season when actually Perkins would have been the better option because we had nothing. When Antonio's been absolutely dead on his feet, and actually the answer probably as a centre forward possibly wasn't Yarmolenko. And I think at those times I do wonder if it's twofold. If Perkins is thinking, I'm not going to get a chance under this manager. This manager is not going to promote youth, so I'm not going to go with it. I do wonder if he takes a look at Steven Gerrard, if it is, for instance, if it is Aston Villa, he takes a look at our Steven Gerrard has managed Jacob Ramsey, and he's thinking, actually, that's more up my street, right? And you've got to look at it from the other point of view. I don't know how much he's asking for, right? And I don't know how much we were offering. But I can't imagine it's a fortune. I can't imagine that Sonny Perkins is asking for 100 grand a week. I don't know. I'm going to completely guess here. Maybe he's asking for 10 grand a week. Maybe he's asking for 15 grand a week. Maybe it's something like that. And maybe, just maybe, and I know it's obscene money in the terms of what you and I might earn, but maybe, just maybe, for a young, outstanding, upcoming prospect who represents England at his national level, maybe, just maybe, that's what you got to pay when he's going to go and sign the contract. Maybe that's what you got to pay to keep him on the books. There's a big blame game going on here. And maybe it's not one or the other. Maybe it's a combination of all of them. Maybe it's a combination of being tapped up. Maybe it's a combination of a bad agent being in his ear. Maybe it's a combination of us not paying enough wages. Maybe it's a combination of David Moyes not being able to entice him to play regular first-team football. Not regular first-team football, even just a place on the bench. And it's a damning indictment, actually, bearing in mind the next season we have got 5 substitutes. Everyone's 5 substitutes next season. If there's any point where a manager can say to a player, I'm going to give you game time. He don't even have to lie about it. He can say, look, if we're well ahead in games or something, I'll give you a chance. If in those games you take those chances, you start scoring goals, I'll give you more of a chance. That's the only conversation that needs to be had. If that's being had, he doesn't want to sign me. No, it's money. But if that is money, why can't we match Aston Villa? Why can't we match Leeds? I mean, you're joking. There's nothing wrong with Leeds, but why? What was the point? What was the point in moving to the London Stadium to get more revenue in if we can't match wages, which probably on the scale of things are possibly quite low? Maybe not compared to other players in the academy, but do we want to keep him? Look, I know there'll be some people who write this comment in the comments below will write, there's not too many players that left West Ham and gone on to embarrass us. Maybe not. Well, it's not. I think it's probably true, and if you've watched the full interview with Tony Carr, we actually discuss that very subject. But as a West Ham fan, I do find it really, really disappointing. I don't know. The truth of the matter is, I've sat here in my motor ranting, and I don't really know what's going on. I don't know whose fault it is. But I tell you what, I think it's massively disappointing. But I wasn't totally comfortable reading the press report from the club. It's sort of, do you know what? They seem to blame everybody but themselves. I just do wonder. It's almost like they acted as if we were powerless, and I'm not so sure. I do wonder if we'd have given him a bit of a better contract and just dangled the carrot of being able to play some first-team football next season, we might not have a player walking away and running his contract down.